After the both of them completed assembling their base, they sat there dehydrated, taking a rest, sipping their beverages. The air was filled with the quiet breeze as the sun exposed the landscape surrounding them. Laventer broke the silence with soft hum clearing his throat. "So, Tia, are you going to share with me what you recall happening in your youth that would require you to be chipped?" I sat in self-debate, wondering if I should divulge what I believed as the reason it happened, knowing that the reason carries an extremely heavy burden for those who cared for me. But they wouldn't know, would they? In this moment, it was just me and Laventer. I sighed, taking another long swallow of water. The tent, though small, offered a welcome refuge from the vast, open desert. She looked at Laventer, really looked at him, and saw a genuine concern in his eyes that made her guard drop a fraction. "If I tell, do you promise to stay level-headed and not freak out? It would be nice to share its depth without feeling I'd be responsible for any adverse responsivity from divulging. It's been a lonely world," Laventer replied. "I absolutely promise. Give me something to chew on." They got up and started their search up a hillside. "I tell you what," Tia said, her voice lighter now, a new energy sparking in her eyes. "Let's take a walk and talk. We'll call this a trio trip." She gestured with her hand, outlining their adventure in the vast desert before them. "First part of the trip for the 3 reasons we're out here," she continued. "I'll see if I can find what I'm looking for. You don't need to be concerned about what, because I'll know when I see it." A playful glint entered her eyes. "Second, I hear there's an abundance of gems and unique stones out here that I can use to make my art with, so if you see something, let me know, so we can take it home." She started walking, leading the way up a rocky incline, and Laventer easily fell into step beside her. "And third," she said, glancing back at him with a mischievous smile, "as we search, I'll give you tidbits of my little story. Let's make the trip unforgettable." "How does that sound?" she suggested, already scanning the ground for any glimmer of interest. Tia squeezed her eyes shut, trying to push away the fragmented images. "I don't remember much. It's like a chunk of my memory is just missing. I ran away one day because of the stress of weird things that happened at home, and the next thing I recall is waking up in a hospital bed, alone. The doctors said I'd been found wandering miles from home, disoriented. They found nothing wrong with me physically, but emotionally, I was a mess. They put it down as trauma, and then a few weeks later, I started getting these headaches, sharp, sudden pains in my head, and now I think I know what it means." "So what or who has chipped you, do you know?" Laventer asked as he picked up shards of colored rocks, showing them to me, as he went along with my search. I responded, there was one guy whose voice sounded like someone from my school, and another that I thought was familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. "Why would someone from your school be there?" Laventer asked. "It goes back to my history teacher," I said, my gaze shifting to the jagged horizon as if the memories were etched into the peaks. He was lecturing on the glory of industrialization, but all I could see were the ghosts of the people it was built upon. I remember arguing with him, telling him that you can't build an empire on the backs of others and not expect them to eventually rise up and demand their due. But I didn't want to fight about it. I was just a teen with dreams, so I agreed to let them have them. I took a breath, the cool desert air sharpening the memory. I wasn't just a critic, though. I was constantly pitching ideas, showing him sketches of things I wanted to build. I had this dream of starting a company that did things differently, one that focused on hiring the less fortunate and empowering my own community. Being part Native American, I wanted to create a foundation where we could grow and innovate on our own terms. I think they took them, partnered with other countries, and in the meanwhile I struggle to remember well enough to ask for something in return now that I have my own family. Enough to move on my own. Besides, children can't make contracts. I let out a hollow laugh. He hated that vision. We'd go in circles. He'd look me in the eye and say I should never worry about creating things because they would handle the creation for me. He told me I'd never have to look for a job, that I'd always have a place, a role to play because of what I had already contributed. Curiosity was etched on the tip of Laventer's tongue when he asked, "So what did you contribute to?" "Oh, an awful lot," I answered. "From the pavement we walk on to some of the latest to others forthcoming. I don't understand why my family struggles so much, but recently I submitted to have an item patented, and all the cronies came out the woodwork. I know sometimes I get tired of working for others and want to create my own lane without all the harassments. I should be able to conceive and create from my own mind without someone taking it." "I agree," Laventer said. But then I was badgered on where material and which machines would be used, to where I would get the funds for such large-scale projects. And so my headaches and life as I know it continues. I now resort to small-scale projects and the search for a connection to what's in my head. I stated, "But again, why here?" Laventer asked again, his giggling this time laced with a genuine sense of bewilderment. He looked around the vast, desolate landscape, the stars beginning to prick through the twilight sky. "You're not a secret alien, are you?" "Ha ha, very funny. Yeah, and I come to drink your blood." "Oh wait, that's the vampire slogan." I chided as my foot nearly sank in a rabbit hole. "Well, I hear they have beautiful gems out this way, and I want to test a theory. And that, my dear, is all I can say. So let's go. Also, because this is where I think the signal is strongest," I replied, my voice a low hum against the rising wind. I adjusted the strap of my backpack, pushing a stray strand of hair from my face. I've been tracking it for weeks, ever since the headaches became unbearable and the snippets of information started flooding my mind. This feels like the source. We continued our ascent up the rocky incline, the crunch of our boots on the loose stones the only sound besides the desert breeze. Laventer's brow was furrowed in thought, his headlamp casting a small, dancing circle of light ahead of us. "So these men in suits and scientists," he mused. "You think they're connected to this signal? To the chip?" "It's more than a feeling, Laventer. Sometimes it's like sex. A climax so loud that others can feel it without a touch," I said, my gaze fixed on a distant, faint glow on the horizon. "The ideas, the inventions they were so keen on, they're all tied to this frequency. It's like they planted a seed, and now it's trying to bloom, sending out roots and signals that I can't ignore." The air grew cooler as we climbed higher, the city lights far below twinkling like scattered diamonds. The silence of the desert was profound, broken only by our labored breathing. "And you believe this source can help you?" he asked, a hint of skepticism in his tone. "Maybe remove the chip, or at least explain what it is." "I don't know, just an explanation is all I need," I admitted, a wave of uncertainty washing over me. "No surgeries, but I have to try. Every step I take up this hill, every pulse of that signal in my mind, it feels like I'm getting closer to answers, to understanding why they chose me, what they want, and how I can finally reclaim what's mine." I looked over at him, seeing the genuine concern in his eyes beneath the glow of his headlamp. "Are you with me, Laventer? This could get complicated." He met my gaze, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Tia, you've got me chasing glowing rocks and listening to theories about history teachers and secret chips. Complicated is my middle name on this trio trip. Lead the way, but also ask why I've never felt like we're having sex while I was away. Maybe that'll be explained too." Laventer replied in a baffled expression.